You know, every now and then, a film comes along that's more than just a hit. It's a cultural earthquake. A movie that doesn't just entertain us, but completely changes the game. And back in 2008, that film was The Dark Knight.
Okay, so the first thing you have to understand is just how much everybody loved this movie. I mean, look at this, a 94% from critics, and the exact same score, 94% from audiences. That almost never happens. Seriously, for the professionals and the general public to agree so perfectly on a massive blockbuster, that's lightning in a bottle.
And all that love, well, it translated directly into, let's be honest, a whole lot of money. Just look at that number. Over $1 billion worldwide. This wasn't just a big comic book movie, it was one of the biggest films of all time, period.
So all of this just begs one giant question, right? How on earth did a movie about a guy in a bat costume become a genuine, respected cinematic landmark? Well, let's break it down.
It really all starts with the fact that this was just a totally different kind of blockbuster.
The legendary critic Roger Ebert he completely nailed it with this quote. He didn't say it was a great comic book movie. No, he called it an engrossing tragedy. That's so key. People weren't judging this against other superhero flicks. They were comparing it to these serious, complex crime dramas.
And you have to remember the context here. This film came out the very same year as the first Iron Man, and together they just fundamentally changed the game. The Dark Knight proved that these stories could be about big, philosophical questions and could have real artistic ambition.
But look, let's be real. You cannot talk about The Dark Knight without talking about the chaotic, brilliant force at its very center, which brings us to an unforgettable, once-in-a-generation performance.
This one line, this tells you everything you need to know about Heath Ledger's Joker. He wasn't some simple bank robber. He was a philosophical terrorist. His goal wasn't money. It was to prove that our whole idea of civilization is just this fragile little illusion.
So how did he pull it off? I mean, the stories about his preparation are just legendary. He locked himself away in a hotel room for weeks. He kept this so-called Joker diary, filling it with disturbing thoughts and images just to get inside the character's head. He built everything from scratch, the voice, the posture, and of course that chilling, unforgettable cackle.
And that incredible intensity, it came right with him onto the set. Get this. He was so genuinely terrifying in his first scene that a veteran actor, Michael Caine, completely forgot his lines. He actually told Christian Bale to really hit him in the interrogation scene for the sake of authenticity. And that famous, anxious moment where he's fiddling with the hospital detonator? Total improvisation, all because a special effect was delayed. Pure in-character genius. But even a performance like that needs the right world to exist in, and that's where director Christopher Nolan's commitment to grounded realism was so crucial.
See, Nolan made this critical choice that really defined the whole feel of the movie. At a time when blockbusters were all about weightless CGI, he just went in the complete opposite direction. He wanted practical, tangible effects. He knew that if the action felt real, if it had actual weight, then the big ideas would feel just as real and urgent.
And believe me, he was not messing around. That wasn't some digital truck you saw flip over. They took a full-sized 18-wheeler and actually flipped it end over end on a real Chicago street. They didn't render a hospital explosion. They blew up a real decommissioned building. And for those massive action scenes, he was the first director ever to shoot a major feature film with high-res IMAX cameras, which created this sense of scale that audiences had just never seen before.
Now, all this realism, it wasn't just for show. It was all in service of the movie's real core. A battle not of fists, but of ideas. It was a philosophical war for the soul of Gotham City.
So what was the Joker actually fighting for? Simple. Chaos. His philosophy is pure nihilism, this belief that all our rules, our codes, our morality, it's all just one bad joke. His entire scheme is just one giant experiment to prove that when the chips are down, civilized people will turn on each other.
And he puts this dark theory to the ultimate test in two incredibly tense social experiments right at the film's climax.
This right here really captures the film's brilliance. In the first experiment, with the two fairies, the Joker is betting that people are fundamentally selfish and they'll kill to save their own skins. But humanity wins. Neither boat blows up the other. But in the second experiment, with Harvey Dent, the Joker's thesis is that even the very best of us can be broken. Madness, he says, is like gravity. All it takes is a little push. And in that case, tragically, the Joker wins. He corrupts Gotham's White Knight and proves his awful point.
And the movie doesn't stop there. It even turns the spotlight back on Batman himself. To stop the Joker, Batman creates this massive surveillance system that spies on every single person in Gotham. It's a pretty clear commentary on the post-9/11 world, and it forces us, the audience, to ask a really tough question. How much freedom are we willing to give up for the sake of safety?
So when you put all of that together, the performance, the realism, the ideas, you end up with an incredible and lasting legacy.
The impact was immediate, and it literally shattered the industry. In 2008, it destroys the box office. In 2009, Heath Ledger, of course, wins a posthumous Oscar for that iconic performance. But then, something else happens in 2009, directly because of this film.
When the movie was snubbed for a Best Picture nomination, the public outcry was so huge that the Academy literally changed its rules. They expanded the Best Picture category from 5 nominees to as many as 10. And they did it specifically so that critically acclaimed, massively popular films like this would have a fair shot. It's now officially known in Hollywood as the Dark Knight Rule.
And this really gets to the core of why it had that kind of impact. It wasn't just another action flick. Like the critics' consensus says, it was a richly thrilling crime saga. It had depth, it was complex, and it was just unforgettable. So all this leaves us with one final thought. Here we are over 15 years later after dozens and dozens of movies in the very genre it helped elevate. Is The Dark Knight still the gold standard? Is it still the masterpiece that all other superhero films are judged against? I'll let you think about that one.